Right, okay, so we're up to V'sav Rabbi Yehuda, called Oyel She'ena Osoi. So the Gemara just brought a brisa, a Mishnah in Arlos that was, we're up to V'sava.
We're not doing Chazara?
We're doing Chazara now. That was Chazara yesterday. We started V'sav Rabbi Yehuda, the new, and today we're doing Chazara on that. So V'sava Rabbi Yehuda, Kol Oyel, every Oyel, She'ena Osoi B'dei Adam. That's not man-made. Eina Oyel is not considered the oil.
Why don't you make that lie? So roughly for what you need to.
That therefore it's not going to make Tumah go over from any Tumah under the same oil. Uraminu, we're now going to ask a question of Stira. Uraminu is a kasha, a Stira from another Brisa. It's actually a Mishnah in Parah. So the idea was that we wanted to make sure that the person fetching the Meichatos is 100% Tahor and not worry that any mace was buried deep down and he goes over a mace. Because someone who goes over the mace becomes tamei because of oil mace. So what do? They do chatzeros, gardens. They built gardens built in Yerushalayim al gabe hasela, which was on top of a rock. Evening. So these gardens were built on top of a rock, and the point of them built on a rock was that the rock was there mimois from the creation of the world, and therefore it's very highly unlikely that anyone's buried underneath that big rock. Now, v'tachteim, and even though it was unlikely that anyone's buried under this rock because it's a rock that's been there since the creation of the world, they still, v'tachteim chalal, they made underneath it a hole, because when you've got a hole of a tefach by a tefach, it also stops the tumah going up. So if there's a hole and then someone walks on top of that tumah, he's not going to become tamei. Mimnei kevatim, because they were worried about a deep down keva, someone buried there. Umaviyim noshin ubris, and they brought women who are pregnant. Ubris are pregnant. V'yoldos sham, v'yoldos, they give birth over there. On Megadleis B'neim Sham, and they brought up their children over there, Lepara, to help with the Para Aduma to bring this Meichatos. Kama. Umavin Shvarim, and they also brought oxen. Va'al Gabehen, and on top of them were the losses, doors. Now, David asked yesterday, a good point, that why not worried about the delis, these doors becoming tamei, and if they become tamei, and the person sits in it, this kohen sits in it, he'll also become tamei. Now, there's a halacha in Hilchos Tumah, that in order for a keli, an object to become tamei, it has to be able that it can hold something in it. Anything which can't hold anything, it's called pshuti kli'etz, which means anything which is flat wood is not makabel tumah at all.
But it has to be pretty flat door.
So a flat wooden door will anyway not be makabel tumah.
Is it acting as oil?
It's also acting as an oil, and it's also not going to be makabel tumah if someone touches it. Two different points. Wait, we're going to get to Rabbi Yehuda in a second.
For Rabbi Yehuda, just don't have kalana for that door, and then it can't be makabel tumah anyway.
No, fakir. We want it to be oil. Oil means that it stops. When it's oil, we need it to be oil, but we need it that if someone touches it, it can't become a tumah, because then the kohen
We have to make an oil
without the person touching it. So that was a good point. Gabe and Delosses to use these doors, and these doors were not makabel tumah. So you can put that as a footnote. Delosses are flat pieces of wood, and therefore they're not makabel tumah. You can put in brackets David. The footnote, Reb David. Delosses, flat piece of wood, that's not makabel tumah, Reb David. V'tinoikos yoshvin al gabein, and these young children, these young kohenim who are going to fetch the mechatas, yoshvin are sitting al gabein on top of these doors. V'koisos and cups shall even of stone. And footnote, you can put over here this even. The reason why they use stone cups is because, again, stone cups can't be makabel tumah, even though they are clay kibble. They can be makabel thing, but when they're made out of stone, then even if they're clay kibble, stone is not the type of thing that can be makabel tumah. Be them in the hands. Higior leShiluach. They arrived at this spring called Shiluach, which is the spring they took the mechatas from. Yordu. They got off. L'soich hamayim. So we said yesterday that the reason why we wanted him to get off this show and go into the water is because there was a halacha, according to this man, Da'amah, it had to be hand drawn. And therefore the only way to be hand drawn is go in the water. Why we're not worried about someone being buried there is because it's unlikely that anyone's buried in the water. Because it's been there since the creation, and it's not a normal thing to go into the water and dig up. Yeah, milum, and then they filled up this cup.
So if you ever want to murder someone, bury them in a spring and no one will find them.
You could try that.
Because they're not going to look.
Yeah, but yeah. Va'alo, and they got up.
That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have the police here. Va'alo, and they got up. They got out of the spring. V'yashvu lahem, and they sat on top of these delosses. Yeah, v'yashvu lahem, they sit back on these delosses. They now got the cup of water that they're using for the mechatos, and then they're now going to drive back to the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, that was all Tanakama. Rabbi Yosi Omer. This is new Gemara. Yeah, everyone good? New Gemara now. Rabbi Yosi Omer says Rabbi Yosi. Mim Kaima, he's only arguing, Rabbi Yossi is only arguing on the point of when he drew the water, what happened? We just said Tanakama say you get off and you climb into the water and you draw the water by hand. Rabbi Yossi says Mim Kaima, from his place.
He's only arguing on.
The last point of getting off the show and drawing the water. So Mim Kaima means from his place on top of the ox there. Haya Mishalshel, he would let down, he would draw. Umamala, that's how he would fill up the cup. Mishalshel, anyone got a good word for Mishalshel? When you let down the water, you let down on a string, he let down the cup.
Lowering.
He lowered, exactly. Mishalshel, he would lower the cup, Umamala, and fill it up. Mimnei Keva Hatom, because Rabbi Yossi was, worried that for the very, 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 very unlikely chance, maybe someone was buried in the water. And therefore he said, better not, stay on your ox. Laharid. So Rabbi Yossi was worried about the Kevatanom. Full stop. So that's all the Mishnah in Taharis. So far so good. Right. Now, Vitanya. This is a Brisa. The Brisas were explaining Mishnah, so now we've got a Brisa that explained that, added on to the Mishnah. This Brisa is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, says Rabbi Yehuda. He was Mamale, he filled it up there. He didn't go off the ox because he was worried that there's someone buried in the water. Right, Vitanya, but there's a Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Loi hayom meviim delosais, they did not bring doors. Ela shvarim, they only had oxen, comma. Now, that is the Brisa, right? You can actually put a full stop. They only brought shvarim. Now, what exactly was the oihel, which was a mafsik? What was stopping the tumah from underneath? Yeah, but he said you don't need anything. You just sit on top of the ox, and the actual ox is the stomach of the ox is enough to be a mafsik, to be an oil mafsik, right? Now, anyone got anything not good with that? The shoyer, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the actual ox itself, the stomach of the ox, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is going to be the oil, which is a mafsik.
It's enough, no different to a bed.
But it's not man-made.
It's not 10 tefachim.
It's not, 10 tefachim it probably is. The shoyer's stomach till the ground.
Definitely 10 tefachim.
And anyway, we don't need 10
Anything not man-made is not.
We don't need 10 tefachim over here, Rabbi. Only for sukkah was a problem, 10 tefachim. Here we need tefach high. So here we're discussing a tefach. V'hashvarim, frek the Gemara now, a question. V'hashvarim, the oil she'enu asa b'dei adam. Shvarim, oxen, is an oil that is not man-made. She'enu asa, which is not made b'dei adam by a person who, question mark, well, not question, comma, ukutani, and it says in this brisa, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo hayim meviim delosos, they didn't bring doors, ela shvarim, question mark. So the Gemara is asking, how could Rabbi Yehuda be happy with just the actual ox being the oil to be a mafsik, the oil to stop the tumah going further? This ox that we're using is not intentionally man-made, so how can we use it? Right? Everyone good with that question? Yep. That's the Gemara's question. Ki asi Rav Dimi. So when Rav Dimi came, Amar Rebbe Lazar, he said in the name of Rebbe Lazar, Moida Rebbe Yehuda. Rebbe Yehuda is Moida, that even if it's not man-made, Kimloi Egroif. Yeah, so you put in on a footnote, Moida Rebbe Yehuda. What's Moida Rebbe Yehuda? Moida Rebbe Yehuda agrees. What does he agree to? That even a non-man-made oil works when it's Kimloi Egroif. Now, a Kimloi Egroif literally means a fist. Now, a tefach is a fist. So this egroif that we're discussing over here is not the regular fist of a regular person, because that's exactly the same as a tefach. And we've always been discussing oil, which is a tefach high, tefach wide, and tefach. We're discussing here egroif of a very big man. I think it was called Ben Avitach or something like that. He was a very large man, and his fist was a bit larger than a tefach. So, a footnote. So this is the point. What's going on over here is that Rabbi Yehuda holds that if it's only a tefach by a tefach with the height of a tefach, then it has to be man-made. If it's bigger than that, a fist of this man, which is slightly larger than the tefach by tefach, the height of tefach, then he'll agree that even when it's not man-made, you can also use that as an oil. Number one, to transfer tumah, and number two, to stop tumah going higher than that roof.
Surely any of those could have been with Malek.
What, these ones down here? Yeah, but here we're discussing the typical case of tefach al tefach b'rum tefach. That's what the Mishnah there starts off with. You need a tefach by tefach b'rum tefach, and the Mishnah says that tefach by tefach can be any of these cases. So on that, Rebbe says, no, I argue.
So tefach is for anything, even not man-made?
No, tefach al tefach has to be man-made, according to Rebbe Yehuda. Egroif, which is larger than a tefach, egroif, which is a fist of this big man, which is larger than a tefach, that can even be non-man-made. Full stop. Tanya Nami Hachu, we're bringing a brisa. Tanya Nami Hachu, we also learned in the brisa, like this teretz that we just said, that when it's a big oil, wider than a tefach. It's an egroif that you can also have non-man-made, because it says in the Brisa, Umoida Rabbi Yehuda agrees, beskifin, so sometimes you have these rocky mountains, and the lower rocks fall out the mountain, and then underneath it you've got this large rock sticking out the mountain, so that's a massive, but going in, indentation into the mountain, when it goes, sort of, but a big one. You just, when you've got, you don't need a cave, just when you have a mountain and the bottom rocks fall. So you've got like a cover umbrella, which is a large rock, which is very big. Over Nikike Aslam, and we have big rocks that have cracks in them, that those oilim are going to make tumah and stop tumah. Now, why does he agree in this price? So what's pshat in this price? So why does he agree? Because when they're very large, then he agrees that even though these rocks are not man-made, they're still good to go to be an oil, either to make tumah go over or to stop tumah going.
What's really his reason?
That has to be man-made is because he learns out from the oil. And the reason why he agrees when it's very big is because I guess then it's already more than just the oil. It's a proper, substantial build. It's already considered more than just a regular enclosure. Nikike Aslam is the cracks in the rocks, a big crack in the rock. So a shkifin is the rocks that have fallen, the lower rocks fall and they leave the higher rocks higher up, and the Nikike Aslam is the cracks in the rocks. So this Brisa is a proof that Rabbi Yehuda agrees that when you've got very big oil, then even when it's not man-made, it's good to go. Anything above a tefach already. A tefach by a tefach has to be man-made. Anything above a tefach by a tefach, an egroif, which is a bit more than a tefach, can even be non-man-made. The Harei Delis, should we go a bit further? We should stop here. Okay, let's keep going. We'll do another 2 minutes. The Harei Delis. Now the Gemara is going to ask another question. The Harei Delis, so we just said just now that when it's very large, when it's a bigger than a tefach or tefach, then even doesn't need to be man-made. Exactly. The Harei Delis.
When you have a mountain, the rock juts out because other rocks are falling away. And the keeping is when you have cracks in the rocks.
Right, the Harei Delis, a door. The Yeshba Kama Egroifim, a door is very wide. It's wider than just a regular tefach. It's even wider than an egroif. It's a few egroifim wide. It's a very wide thing. Uketani, and it said in the Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda said, Loi hayom mevi'in delossos, they did not bring doors, ela shvarim, only oxen, question mark. Now, for some odd reason, the Gemara understood that according to Rabbi Yehuda, a deles wouldn't help you. So for the Gemara, why doesn't a deles help you? It's very wide, and therefore, even though it's not man-made, so that's the Gemara's answer. So it's a bit not understandable why the Gemara understood that Lo Yemid Losses means that Rabbi Yehuda held that it wouldn't have helped. He just says you don't need it. But clearly, the Gemara understood that Rabbi Yehuda held it wouldn't have worked. Now, the bigger question on this is that a deles, if you put a deles on top of an ox, that's man-made. So anyway, what's the Gemara's problem? Man-made, Rabbi Yehuda always agrees. What's got to do with what we just discussed? Yeah, you put the roof onto this ox, so that's a man-made. So that's what Rashi and Tosfos are busy with. What's the problem with a deles? The most simple teretz is that because a deles is not normal to use a door as a roof, then it has the same problem as a non-man-made, and it'll have the same halacha.
Why can't we just use
The actual ox.
I'm confused with that.
Okay. So let's just go back. The Harei Deles. A deles, a door. The Yeshba Kama Egroifim, it's very wide. Uktani, and it says in the Brisa, so Rabbi Yehuda says, Loi hayom mevi'in delossos, they didn't bring doors. Ela shvarim, question mark, only oxen. And the Gemara understood that a deles won't work. So the Gemara is asking, why doesn't a deles work? Even though a deles is not a normal thing to be used as an oil, and therefore is the same problem as a non-man-made oil. But when it's very wide, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't need the best oil, a man-made oil. And therefore, Huadin, he'll be happy even though it's not the regular thing to use an oil door. Okay, let's just do one teretz. Amar Abaya. Abaya is the first teretz to this thing, is which what Shimi said. Loi hutzruchu lahavi delosis. All Rabbi Yehuda said is not that the delis won't work. It's not necessary to have a door because the ox itself, is going to be the oil, right? So loi hutzruchu lahavi delosis. Loi hutzruchu means they did not need lahavi to bring delosis doors, and you could put there as a footnote because the actual ox itself is the oil, is going to be enough of an oil. And we'll stop there. Shkoyach, everybody.
Cliffhanger.
Quite literally. Make it,
Use the pan.